And let's give Vincent and Phillip a hand, and let's get started with part two.
All right, continuing with our activity at the Coal Yard Bar with our friend Molly. This is called Lucky, Lulu, and a Cat Named Bo. Thanksgiving, 3 p.m. 6th floor walk-up on an old tenement building next to the Yuki Funeral Home on 7th Street. Black and white TV on, rabbit ears up, sound off. Thanksgiving Day parade is over. Santa's been safely delivered to Macy's to the delight of children everywhere. Nothing on but football for the rest of the day. Lulu's passed out drunk and naked in the old clawfoot bathtubs. Bo's curled up on her belly, purring and kneading her chest with his paws, as if trying to revive her with the power of his love. She's holding an empty pint of Svedka. Looks like their planned Thanksgiving dinner ain't gonna happen. He turns on the bathroom light, puts on the peacoat and Met's cap, and splits, leaping down the narrow spiral staircase 2 steps at a time, still trying to trick his body into thinking it's 3 floors instead of 6. He hits the sidewalk and heads towards 2nd Avenue, turning up his peacoat collar, tipping his head down to block the damp wind. He stops at Big Bar, closed for the holiday. Circles back toward First and Blue and Gold. It's closed too. Walks up to Tile Bar in the corner. Damn, closed. He crosses First, picks up a pack of rolling papers at the bodega and checks the International Bar next door. Closed sign in the window. It's gray, windy, and desolate. No traffic, no people. Cold and frustrated heading up First Avenue. He's thinking he'll probably end up at a McDonald's with a fucking Happy Meal and nothing to drink. Just about to go into Mickey D's, he noticed the lights on at the window of the Coal Yard Bar next door. Fuck yeah, it's open. He steps in to find the joint full of locals who, like him, are looking for some solace and sanctuary on a lonely holiday. He grabs the only remaining seat at the far curve of the bar, hangs his coat in the back of the stool and settles in for a look around, spotting Blondie and Boho, Gator Gal, Roadrunner, Snake, usual coyotes from the local bars. Opposite the bar, a wall is lined with tables filled with foil trays of turkey, mashed potatoes, stuffing, string beans, and cranberry sauce. There are stacks of paper plates, napkins, and plastic utensils. Folks are helping themselves to this holiday feast offered free to anybody who wanders in. They're breaking bread with family today, defined by circumstance or misfortune, but family it is. All the social misfits and outcasts who chose this dive bar as their comfort zone today. From across the bar, his writer friend Blondie waves and smiles a big hello as he's making his way toward the food tables. He offers only a mechanical nod and his best fake smile. He fills a plate high with stuffing, douses it with gravy, and returns to his stool to wash it down with a CC and soda. An attractive young lady sachets up and asks in a thick Liverpool accent if he'd mind chatting with her for a bit. He's feeling pretty low and don't even want to talk to bar buds. He doesn't sense any kind of hitting on him vibe, so he asks her, "What's up with you?" She says she's from Ibiza, freelances for Vogue Europe magazine, does lifestyle stories, and is doing a story on dive bars in New York. What the fuck, is she for real? Tells him his tats are cool, thinks he's been around a lot and might be interesting to interview. He reluctantly agrees, but only if she'll spring for a drink. She does. He orders a double makers instead of his usual cheap shit. She asks a bunch of rude, insulting, and demeaning questions about him, type of people who hang in these bars. He's embarrassed and pissed off, so he replies with subtly sarcastic answers that go right over her empty head. He thinks they'll probably satisfy the preconceived notions of her faux aristocrat Eurotrash readers. It's total bullshit, but she eats it up, because it's what she wants to hear. He's done and she moves on, after he hits her up for another double makers. Brendan, the bartender, asks, "What's up with that chick?" When he tells her, she laughs and says, Just another Euro-trash vampire looking to get a taste of some coyote blood. She high-fives him and pours another double makers on the house. He finishes off his stuffing, tops it with the CC and soda for the road. Fills up a big take-home plate of cold turkey scraps and spuds, sloshed with lots of thick cold gravy. He knows Lulu's going to be hungry when she wakes up. He leaves with a quick nod toward his friends. Blondie follows him out. Hey, Lucky, you're acting like a real shit. What the fuck's going on with you? Yeah, sorry. Just kind of in a dark holiday hole right now. You know, I'll be all right. I'll see you later. Is Lucy off her meds again? He nods his head, yeah. Wow. Sorry. Kisses him on the cheek and she's gone. Feeling a bit dizzy. Just go through the motions. Get out of here. Lift collar, pull down brim, hands in pockets. Slow, easy steps. And he's gone with the wind. Lulu's up in the bathroom brushing her teeth when he finally gets back. He leans in and notices a mean-looking purple bruise on her hip from falling in the bathtub, he's guessing. Doesn't see any blood or open wounds, so I guess it's all good. Bo's sitting up on the toilet tank watching Lulu. Lucky rolls a doobie and they smoke at the kitchen table, laughing as she wolfs down the cold take-home and tosses turkey scraps down the Bo. He pounces on them with delight, nodding her head repeatedly in satisfaction. She looks up at him and smiles. Buzzed from the bar and pretty stoned, he's mesmerized by her naked body. She looks beautiful, even under the stark bare kitchen bulb. Thinking he might just get lucky tonight if she don't start drinking again too soon. They know they ain't your Norman Rockwell holiday Thanksgiving portrait, but they're all they've got. It's going to have to do.
No, those are my other poems. What did you do with the other? No, those are the ones I've read already. All right, who stole my book? No, man. We got to.
There's stuff that's on the
Ah, there it is, underfoot. Exactly where it deserves.
poetry underfoot.
Yeah, hold on a second. Let's switch this out a little bit. I feel like I'm in a friggin' sardine can. Let's not dump it. That'd be interesting. Dump up on the table. That's the throw rug. I love throw rugs. All right, here. Just get the goddamn poetry out from underneath my feet. That's not very dignified. Jesus, look at that. And the show is going so well. Hey, Phil, buddy, move your bar stool.
My bar stool?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is the table.
This is unrehearsed.
Actually, I was just messing with him. His bar stool wasn't on it. I just wanted.
You were getting your foot moved.
God damn it. Now where am I? Just hold on. Okay. All right, don't worry.
His hell has no name.
Jesus, welcome. Jesus, say Jesus. Okay. This is called This Hell Has Your Nameplate on It for Charles Bukowski. There you are, Hank. Stuck in that hot-ass, stuffy eternity room without so much as a beer or a smoke, with all those miserable, smug little third-rate poets that are always calling you at all hours back on Earth, showing up at your doorsteps with bags of beer and wine with spiral notebooks full of their latest shitty poems, and the ones who wrote you long, impassioned letters about how nobody wanted to print their stuff, and how their stuff wasn't as good as your stuff, or anybody else's stuff printed last month in endless small presses that nobody ever heard of about themselves. Nah, there's no escaping this one, no ducking out early from this reading around the corner for a cold bottle of relief, maybe a ball game, a horse race, something on TV, anything good on the jukebox, or maybe even a stray hooker who was bored and was looking for a little conversation. Back in the old days on Earth, when you finally got lucky and published, you would acquire just enough reputation to lecture at universities overseas, holding court at good-paying gigs, just enough celebrity to be able to live pretty damn comfortably, and you could tell them all to go straight to hell. And hey, guess where you ended up and with who? So terrible now, you're really fucking stuck in eternity, no less, without so much as a picket crow's fence sentence between you and their sorry astral asses. Well, of course they still love you, some of them. The rest of the other half hate you because they blame you for wasting their lives following your dream and not their own. And yes, they know every line you've ever written, every single word by heart, and in between their newest poem about spending eternity in unrealized glory, they recite one of yours, as they follow you all around hell at all hours into every smoldering fucking corner. Is this poetic justice, Hank? You have to sadly shake your head in agreement here. You always wrote about the infinity of paybacks that awaited us all, for better or for worse, for one day. So what was your crime? You overcame odds to speak to people. Sometimes that is a crime. Just one last trip, forget the trifecta. You'd settle for just one more muggy, hungover afternoon with a betting card in your hand, either up a couple of bucks or your wallet in a crapper, knowing there was at least, when it was over, you could count on a ride back home up the coast highway, back to your quiet apartment, with a little classical music on the radio and a bottle of wine and your typer all set up to roll. Instead, it's hard now to see anything for you there except the light towers being extinguished, in sequence, silently, one by one, as the chilly fog from the Pacific rolls across the darkened infield after the last race and you walk down the empty concrete corridors of the exit tunnel, with all the losing betting slips scattered across the concrete of hell like $2 rose petals.
That was worth the wait.
Oh.
Hard rain on First Avenue after midnight. A broke down old drunk man stumbling down First Avenue in the rain, trying hard not to slide away, held up mostly with his cane. With his good arm, he's supporting a girl with a swelled up foot that hurts. Slow steps moving forward and jerking and staggering back in spurts. She's hanging on tight, teeth clenched, fighting to hold back screams of pain. She hoists a broke umbrella, struggling for cover from the rain. Two poor lost souls, knowing they can't do it on their own, stumbling down First Avenue together, trying hard to find a way back home. Just a broke down old drunk man, pretty young thing in pain, wandering through purgatory in this godforsaken rain.
All right, Death of a Dive. This is one I alluded to earlier, when I really knew I was too old for river pitfalls. You know, as I sat in my beloved dive around supper time, in the middle of May, I took a good look around at the harsh glare from the street inside. Boy, this place looks especially worn and beaten. It smelled badly. Of course it did. There's no cigarette smoke anymore to mask the stench of stale urine and beer. I looked up at the ceiling. This always amazed me, where it appeared somebody had managed to defy the laws of gravity and vomited up repeatedly the length of the bar room from about where I was sitting all the way back to the restrooms. And I was going, maybe that gravity is a poor thing, isn't it? So I got up to relieve myself in the restroom, where I knew upon exiting the soles of my shoes would reek of sticky urine. And I looked at my last little blonde bartender. My God, how many had there been over the years? They were all so kind to you. They took care of you. This one wouldn't even take your money for beer. So you left it on a bar as a tip. She was leaving soon to complete her second degree at a nearby college where you taught. Well, yeah, it finally hit you, whether you want to admit to it or not. It was time. Death of a dive. You know, man, you managed to squander most of your adult years in here on this bar, on this very stool, and now you are almost always the oldest guy in the place. Yeah, you remember years ago seeing guys like you in this place and thinking, God, when I'm that old, I hope I'm not hanging around in here. Well, guess what? But it was kind of funny, and it didn't hurt that much. It was time, thinking, well, I guess it's time to find an old guy bar. You recall when you were the age of most of these patrons in the dive, you hung around old man bars. You liked them. They seemed like they were fun. So, I mean, hell, now, you fit back even then, now you belong there. So I slugged down my beer, left a nice tip, smiled at the regulars, a good evening, and walked out the door into a beautiful spring evening at dusk. And the air smelled sweet, and I never felt better in my life.
Darla and the Dungeon. East Village dive bars are dropping off faster than a prom dress in a pickup truck. Dave's Tap Room, Broadway Charlie's, Downtown Beirut, Cheap Shots, Grassroots, Continental, Coal Yard, The Central, just to name a few. I dropped Double Down Saloon for happy hour and I run into my old pal Brenda from Dave's. Looks like she got herself a handsome new lover boy. Looks to be a good bit younger than her, too. She introduces him as Bungie. And I asked, what the hell kind of name is Bungie? Brenda says his real name's Russell, but she likes to call him Bungie because he's had a pretty fucked up life and he always seems to bounce back and be positive. Well, we chat for a bit, with Bungie adding that he lives in a loft on Attorney Street by the Parkside Lounge, and he mostly writes and publishes online flash fiction and hustles for cash with hydroponic computer-controlled grow in his loft, mostly high-end yellow haze. Says his product's excellent, sells really well with his downtown bar buddies. I'm liking Brenda's new guy. He's a writer, he's cool, and I want to cop some of that yellow haze, too. I asked Brenda how she's doing since Bubba passed and Dave's closed. She said she's still living in that walk-up in Chinatown with Bubba's teenage daughter, Darla. What? I didn't know Bubba had a daughter. Seems like her mama's a junkie hooker who runs a steady trail in and out of lockup. Darla leaves home at 15 and couch bounces with different schoolmates from St. Bridget's while trying to track down her dad. She scours local bars and junkie crash pads, eventually learns that Bubba passed, and that he had a wife who lives in Chinatown. So long story short, Darla finds Brenda, moves in with her, and she's a senior now at St. Bridget's High School. Her grades are good, and she wants to be a nurse. Damn. I asked Brenda how she's getting by for rent money. He says times are tough, so seeing some of the other out-of-work bar jockeys open up their own joint, private club, in a basement on 3rd Street across from the Hells Angels. She remembered a Puerto Rican social club called El Gallo Rojo that was busted for illegal cockfighting and shut down. Was sitting there empty for a year, and she checks with the landlord, and he gives her a 2-year lease for $1,100 a month. They all pitch in and fix the joint up, so it looks like a real bar again. And it doesn't smell like chicken shit anymore. They contact a lot of their old regulars, so call them to join the club for $25 and they get a big turnout. It's called The Dungeon. Been open about 6 months. She invites me to join. Well, tells me she works noon to 6 on Monday to Friday, and it's usually open till around 2 or 3 in the morning. They're doing good, it's fun, and drinks are only $5. I stopped by the club following day around 4, stepping carefully down the crumbling cement steps out of bright sunlight into a dark space. Definitely justifies the dungeon name. As my eyes slowly adjust, I find it looks a lot like the old dives in the neighborhood. There's a jukebox, pool table, dartboard, DJ setup, even a small space for dancing, probably where the cocks used to fight. Coming as no surprise, sitting at the bar below the TV, there's a Maxwell House coffee can with the Yankees cap over the top. I hug Brenda, tap the can, and say, "Hey, Bubba," and I offer up my $25 to join the club. There's a striking young girl in a Catholic school uniform sitting at the far end of the bar smoking. She looks totally out of place among the bar regulars. Brenda introduces her as Bubba's daughter, Darla. She doesn't like being alone in the apartment, so she hangs out here after school till Brenda gets off. She looks like a biracial gal with olive skin, striking blue eyes, and long blonde dreads. She's wearing a pleated plaid miniskirt, saddle shoes, and white blouse. She gives her mom a big hug while smiling seductively at me. I'm thinking there's a lot more going to be heard from this one. Every Saturday is theme music night at the dungeon, with DJs Miss Cal and Oscar spinning the hits. There's punk mosh nights, shit kicker rockabilly nights, disco night, high hair heavy metal nights, and even swing dance contests with gals sporting vintage dresses and guys in zoot suits. I quickly become a dungeon regular, and I'm staying out there on the dance floor with my sexy 70s moves. Everybody knows everybody. Everyone dances, drinks, smokes, and toasts with everybody. It's even better than the old days. The bars they close, because it's more like family here. They're making the rent, the bartenders are making a decent living, and life is good at the dungeon. I stopped by on a Thursday afternoon to hang at the bar for a few hours, only to find the place closed. Peek in the window when it's dark. Even the neon beer signs are off. I text Brenda and I ask what's up. She says, meet me at Double Down in an hour. I walk in to find her sipping a whiskey, staring blankly at the vintage porn on the bar monitor. Looks like a digitized black and white of an old 8mm from the 40s with a naked bald guy wearing only black socks going down on some chubby chick with a dark barbed wire triangle of a bush. It's actually pretty funny. If you ever been to Double Down, that's what they have there. I grabbed the stool next to Brenda and order a double jack back and ask what's going on with the dungeon. Brenda lets out a deep sigh, chokes up, and trying to fight back tears. She swills down her whiskey and takes a deep breath. She says Darla starts bringing two of her friends over to smoke and hang out with her after school every day. Unknown to Brenda, they're sneaking vodka from behind the bar and pouring it in their cokes when she's busy or not paying attention. More than one occasion, Darla's friends are noticed by regulars staggering out of the bar. Sonny, the president of the Hells Angels, stops by, tells Brenda that the girls in uniforms leaving the bar are attracting too much attention in the neighborhood. The Angels are concerned the police be snooping around soon. He mentioned the cockfight that was here before and the police attention it caused. He says, as of right now, we're closing you down. You all got 2 days to get your shit out of here. You're not welcome on this block anymore. You understand me? You get what I'm saying? Brenda nods and starts sobbing as he turns and leaves. Darla and the girls stare in shocked silence. Everybody's out of work now, and they're all really pissed at Brenda for fucking up a good thing. She's back on welfare and very depressed. Darla keeps her head down and her mouth shut when Brenda's around these dark days. She's scared. Brenda stays curled up in the bed, crying a lot. Time passes slow and hard now for them.
There never will be enough again. Beer, cigarettes, torch songs, jukeboxes, dive bars, alibis, confessions, candles, ivory sheets, tinted puce, regrets, triumphs, bitter tears, hysterical laughter, toe-curling orgasms, trains, car rides, getting lost and being found with a guilty party, sound beaches, ocean beaches, Long Island Bay beaches, resort motel pools in October in Montauk, that park next to the dog run, the Flatron building, and the Chrysler building, nightlight shown in the window of the old Bedford Hotel at midnight. There will never be another you or me. Beautiful.
Cheap shots. Most days I feel like I'm dream walking through a life that's a graveyard. Ghost voices from all the bars I ever hung out and call out to me to come home. I know I belong there with them. Yet I struggle to exist in the real world. I spent a lifetime faking it and do what I have to do to keep it together. I'm really good at it. But they're still calling me. Some dark corner of my soul, I know I was born to be there with them, destined to sit alone forever on a stool at the far end of some dive bar. Somehow I escaped, managed to have a real life for a while thanks to a woman who cared enough to love me in spite of myself. She's gone now. They're still out there waiting for me to come back. I used to think I could escape for good. And I know it's my real home, the only place I've ever really belonged. I feel like I'm destined to spend eternity in this broken down bus station bar in some shithole city drinking bottom shelf vodka, feeling lonely and sad, and wishing for a life that I already have.
However, there is some good news as we follow the local Trinity. Night after night I'd watch him, insisting upon tossing a pair of blank dice and snapping his fingers and hissing, "What are the odds? What are the odds?" While the perfume of the moon would linger in the air, echoing, "What are the odds? What are the odds?" Night after night I'd watch him and remark, "You know, this is strictly none of my business, but are you aware that those are blank dice?" He regarded this and simply remarked, "Doesn't change the game or the odds that you are just not another ugly American addicted behind the wheel, looking for the action, the sure thing, the deal, knowing you settle for the rhyme, the peel, the squeal." He had been a wannabe so long that the never was in him grew curious as to whatever happened to that tired old has-been. Want to see where the wannabe lingered too long getting around to informing his never was to look up that tired old has-been and have a little fun with his ass. You want to know how the wannabe was elevated to the status of the has-been and being allowed to skip the never was designation altogether? It happened on that night when the never was happened to run into the has-been at the bar and grabbed himself fistfuls of lapels and snarled, "Who the hell never was?" He wasn't quite finished yet, however. With their jaws inches apart, he snapped, "Listen, I was a nobody before you were even thinking wannabe, and my has-been will see your dick in the dirt." So what are the odds? What are the odds? What are the odds? Maybe some night you're down at the bar and the three of them stroll in on the perfume of the moon, the wannabe buying them all around, while the never was fishes out the dice again with the pocket. But it's the has-been who was holding court with the bartender. And if you lean in a little closer, you can hear him saying, "Of course the dice are blank, he knows that. What'd you expect? Why do you think they call them bones? You'd be better off watching where you step, on the way up or on the way down. Because it might be small potatoes, but they're your potatoes, and because you never know who might have heard the footsteps. Yeah, footsteps. They echo like this. If you can remember where when, you can remember how now."
Nobody wants to get crazy anymore. I know exactly when or what the fuck happened, but nobody wants to get crazy anymore. Nobody seems to have the need to blow off steam and scream. After a couple of weeks of trying to be normal, I need to get crazy, if only for a couple hours, just to stay sane. All my get crazy friends keep getting married, getting sober, getting religion, getting in rehab, getting in shape, or getting dead. I partied my ways through 5 generations of get crazy friends. I keep losing them to real life. Nobody wants to get crazy anymore. What the fuck happened?
Some of us do.
This is probably going to do it. Phil hates it to say anything before phones, but can I just ask you, so it'll make a difference. Does anybody remember who Ron Swoboda was?
Yeah.
Good. All right, it'll make more sense then. This is what we're going to end with. It's called Still Quoting Ron Swoboda. Listen, let me give you a piece of advice, kid. Don't get involved with any of this poetry business if you think you want money, recognition, or encouragement. You'd be better off doing something useful or profitable. A plumber, for instance. That's right, hell yes, don't laugh. Nobody laughs at plumbers. Too expensive. Poets? Hardy har har har. All the poets, most even the big ones, in fact especially the really good ones, live fairly miserable lives and rarely were successful in their own lifetime. And stop thinking that that qualifies you for something. The rest had their collected poems ended up in the landfill library after their death. You're a poet, huh? What are you, fucking nuts? Can you really tell people with a straight face, I'm a poet? Personally, whenever on the rare occasion that I'm introduced to somebody as a poet, I'm fairly certain I heard asshole instead. Poets Big Week. The reading at the local community college with 6 people in the audience. The woman in the aisle of the supermarket who wants some of your poems for daughter who's in jail. The high school class you conducted at a workshop of great American mediocre poets you admire. The phone call from a local celebrity offering a paying gig 5 years too late. And of course the local newspaper prints one of your poems with all the typos intact, reviving discussion in the community, you're a moron. So, and still you refuse to give up. I don't understand this. You mean the past week's event, the last 30 years event, is encourage you to go forward plans for a 12 self-published book, to follow up on the wild difference that greeted the first 11, to go forward with the CD compilation of the past 15 years of general ignored recorded poems. This fabulous obscurity, it's taken a lifetime to achieve. And I couldn't be more happy, and I couldn't be disappointed, because I never really worked at any of it.
All right. Put your hands together for Vincent, Bar Talkin, Phillip Giambri.